Hello everyone, welcome back. So I have a very short book haul for you today. I haven't been going out very much lately. I think I've went out twice in the past 3 weeks, something like that. I got a little bit that's the dog scratching on the couch over there. I got a little bit tired of going to bookstores and things like that. I got to the point where I was going out and I would be looking at books, which I love to do, even if I'm not going to buy any. I just like to roam amongst the stacks and see what there is and see if there's anything new and uh, just look around. And I got to the point where I wasn't enjoying being there. I was wishing that I was home and it wasn't just dehydration or being hungry or anything like that. It was just a very real desire, a sort of weariness of looking at books, which does happen to me every now and then. And that usually means I need to take a big step back and stay away from bookstores, thrift stores, and that sort of thing until I miss it, until I genuinely miss it. And so that's what I've been doing lately. And I've been taking about 2 or 3 weeks in between when I've been going out, something like that. And that has really paid off because the last couple of times I've gone out, I really wanted to be there. And I really enjoyed looking at the books. But I haven't been buying very many books. And in fact, I only have 4 books in the stack to show you today. And this shouldn't take too long. Um, Now, I went out mainly to find books for my essay reading project. So anthologies and collections of short nonfiction. It's really a short nonfiction project. Essays just an essay project just sounds better to me for some reason, but it's really a short nonfiction reading project where I'm trying to read a work of short nonfiction every day, an essay, an article, a speech, maybe a letter every now and then, something of that nature. And I also went out to look for books for June on the Range. And I'm not a huge fan of Westerns. In fact, I think that most of the Westerns I have read have disappointed me in one way or another. Some have been really good. I have noticed this year and last year that every time June on the Range rolls around, Westerns become pretty scarce in the bookstores I go to, and the thrift stores that I go to, and the Goodwills and that sort of thing. And I really think that June on the Range is the cause for that. I really do. Because you go all year and there will be like an overstock of Westerns, and then when May rolls around, it gets like cleaned out. There were no long arms, for instance. Usually there's like a whole huge shelf of long arm novels. And usually I can go out and find Louis L'Amour's and that sort of thing, and just those shelves were just wiped out the last couple of times I have been out. I did find, I mean, there were a few, there were a lot because there's always a lot of Westerns, but just the sheer volume was much, much smaller. And I did find a Louis L'Amour that I bought. Uh, I haven't always had very good luck with Louis L'Amour, and so it sort of puts me off of buying his books, and I'm going to talk about that a little more when I talk about this book because I have already read it. But I got Kilkenny by Louis L'Amour, and I really liked that cover photo, but the plot really interested me also. It's about a gunslinger who has gone out to southeastern Utah, and he gets in a gunfight with a guy at a station, just like a carriage station, I guess. And anyway, that causes him some big trouble because he's the guy that he killed is the son of the local cattle baron who is trying to build an empire. So, um, did I enjoy this? Did it live up to my standards? You'll have to wait and see. But I should be talking about this very, very soon. I plan to do a reading wrap up. Of course, this is a pre-game for June on the Range. I always get a little bit antsy before June on the Range. I just can't wait, and I read a Western. And I'll just talk about this more when I talk about this book. And I do plan to do maybe a few videos for June on the Range. I plan to at least try to read a few books for June on the Range. Anyway, I will talk about that elsewhere. So the next book that I bought, and I think this is the first Stephen King book that I have bought in several years, 2 or 3 years, maybe more than that. It may have been, I think the last one that I bought was, I bought a big hardcover copy of Insomnia. the first edition hardcover of Insomnia because I read that book when I was in middle school and I never finished it. And so I bought it planning to read it and finish it. I mean, I made it to the last 50 pages and I just lost interest. I was in eighth grade, and I've always really admired that big red and white hardcover of Insomnia for some reason, and I always wanted one. And that's the last one that I bought. I think I bought that 2 years ago, come to think of it. Or a year and a half ago. I think that I bought that while I've had this channel. I just forgot about it. Uh, but so my relationship with Stephen King is kind of odd in that I've read probably half his books. Um, I really lost interest in Stephen King books after a certain point. I don't know why. From the 90s onward, um, he's really hit or miss with me. He had some good short stories after that period, but I haven't really liked very many of his novels that he wrote after 95, I guess, around the time. I didn't care for Desperation, for instance. I liked The Green Mile quite a bit. Um, I really prefer his books from, say, 75, his short stories and books from the 70s into about 93. Uh, but I have never read, say, Cujo, Firestarter, or Carrie. And so I bought a copy of Carrie. And this is a first printing paperback of Carrie. So this is from 1975. I think the hardcover came out in 74. And this was $1.59. And I thought to myself, well, you've never read Carrie, and you should probably read Carrie and Cujo and Firestarter one of these days. And this is a nice edition. This is, like I said, the first printing of the paperback, and so why not? And if, I don't like it, whatever, if I don't want it, it's probably worth 20 bucks or something like that, maybe. And for whatever reason, I have just never read Carrie. Never really had an interest in reading Carrie, and I don't know why. Uh, but I would like to read that. And so I just went ahead and bought this. And so the rest are nonfiction. They're all essay collections. I think there's a little bit of poetry in the last one, but these are all for my nonfiction, my short nonfiction reading project. We have The Recognition of Edgar Allan Poe, edited by Eric W. Carlson. This is from 1969. I think this one is from 1970, but this was published in 69. And so these are all essays, criticisms, I guess reviews of Edgar Allan Poe's work. And I don't think I have ever actually read any serious essays about Edgar Allan Poe. I really like some of Poe's work. What is it? Message Found in a Bottle. And is it Message or Manuscript? I've always wondered that. I think it's Message Found in a Bottle, but on the page it's just MS period. MS Found in a Bottle. So I've always wondered if that's Message or Manuscript or what that meant. I've always been quite fond of Morella, and I really, really like his only novel, which he unfortunately did not finish really. It was the narrative of, is it the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, I think. That is a really good book, and the first bit is it's about a man who wants to go to sea with his friend, but he can't really get on board this ship. So they put him in a box, like a big crate, as a stowaway. If I'm remembering this right, I might have this mixed up with another story, but I'm pretty sure it's the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. And that is just a wildly claustrophobic beginning to that story of this man trapped in this crate, thinking that everyone has forgotten his existence and that he is going to starve to death in this crate in the dark. And it takes a really, really weird turn at the end because Poe apparently just gave up on it and was like, I'll just write this weird, really weird thing and that'll be the end of it. And it is a really frustrating thing. Like the first time you get to it and you go, what? But I really enjoyed that story. And I don't know. I just wanted to pick this up. I thought it would be interesting. And the next book, the cover of this book really cracks me up. It really makes me laugh, and I hope I can explain why. So this is The Political Thought of Abraham Lincoln it's edited by Richard N. Current. So this is a collection of speeches and political writings of Abraham Lincoln. And I'm really looking forward to this. I recently finished David Donald. Like I said, I think it was David Herbert Donald. His It was a collection of essays that he had written about Abraham Lincoln. It's called Lincoln Reconsidered, and I really, really enjoyed that. I really enjoy reading about Lincoln. I really enjoy these short works about Lincoln, these short nonfiction works about Lincoln. And I have read some of Lincoln's writings, but not very many. And I just picked this up. I don't know how, this is not the most sturdy book in the world. It's quite old. It's from the 60s, and it's just cardboard, and it's not, I don't know if it will make it through this reread. But the reason this cracks me up is the style of the drawing. It just makes it look like Lincoln is like hung over. It looks like he's had a really rough night. Like him and the boys were out drinking all night or all weekend, and now they've come out of the house and he's standing in the sunlight and it's all in his eyes. And he's just like, I'm pretty sure we left the horses right here. And Stephen Douglas, I'm pretty sure that Stephen Douglas is like, yeah, whatever you say, man. I don't know. It just really cracks me up. And I'm just looking forward to this. I've already read a couple of the essays out of this. So my essay reading project works in that I just have a bunch of essay collections I've been wanting to read for some time. And I just pick an essay to read every day. And the point of it is to just create a habit of reading short nonfiction every day. And I don't always just read one in a day. Sometimes I read two or three. And that's really the idea of it, to serve as a sort of snowball effort to get me to read more short nonfiction, because I have a bunch of essay collections, and I think I'm 5 months into it now and really, really enjoying it. Really glad that I started. And so the last book is 100 Years of the Nation, a centennial anthology, 1865 to 1965, edited by Henry M. Christman, with an introduction by Carrie McWilliams. And so maybe it's Christman. I'm not really sure about how you would pronounce that last name there. So this is just a great big collection of essays from The Nation, which I've heard of. I've never read anything in The Nation, I don't believe. Is The Nation still around? I have no idea. So this was published, like it says, in 1965 or maybe 66. Yeah, 65. And it just has all kinds of different authors in it. I mean, that's a list there, continued from the front. So Theodore Dreiser, H.L. Mencken, John Dos Passos, Sherwood Anderson, Leon Trotsky, Lionel Trilling, Andre Malraux, Thomas Mann, James Agee, Sinclair Lewis, Henry James, Bertrand Russell, Hannah Arendt, Wallace Stevens, and then it just goes on and on. William Butler Yeats, William Carlos Williams, James Russell Lowell, Jacques Barzun. Um, I think this also has poetry in it. Robinson Jeffers, yeah, so it has poetry in it. William Dean Howells. Anyway, I guess I could go on and on. J.B. Priestley. I'm a big fan of J.B. Priestley's essays. J.B. Priestley wrote this really, really funny essay from the 1920s about how awful it is to have a car and to have to like deal with mechanics and this having this metal beast that like breaks down on the side of the road and always needs some really expensive part. It was just really funny because at the time I read that I was having a lot of car trouble, having to go to the mechanic a lot, which I have a really good mechanic, and he's very honest and very straightforward with me. He's a good guy, but a lot of mechanics are not. And I know just enough about cars to kind of keep mechanics on the straight and narrow. But this guy that I go to, he's really great. And but it's still frustrating. You have to like make an appointment and go to the mechanic, and it was just funny to read J.B. Priestley complaining about the same thing in 1926, I think. And so this will go directly into rotation on my essay shelf, along with the book by Edgar, or the book about Edgar Allan Poe and about Lincoln, or Lincoln's speeches. And that is it. That is my book haul. I feel like this has been kind of stuttering and stop and start. I was kind of distracted by my dog a little bit. He's been quiet now, but he was scratching and sniffing and rolling around, and I'm not sure how this video will come out in the cut. So that is my book haul. Carrie by Stephen King, the first paperback printing edition. Kilkenny by Louis L'Amour. I think I have those backwards. I think I did them the other way around. The Recognition of Edgar Allan Poe, The Political Thought of Abraham Lincoln, and 100 Years of the Nation, edited by Henry M. Kreisman. I'm not sure. If you know how to pronounce his name, let me know. I'm always open to being told how to pronounce people's names, suggestions on how to pronounce people's names, kindly and respectfully, of course, because I like to get people's names right, and I don't always know how to pronounce names that I encounter. So that is it. That is my book haul, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed going out this time, and that was really wonderful because when I go out and I'm not able to enjoy bookstores, I feel like everything is off balance for me. And so just stepping back for a while and not going out as often, it really did help. And so thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.